Whenever we have a two-story house or a two-story structure of any type, we always have to pay close attention to the venting, the duct work that is required for a furnace and air conditioning. What this is a back elevation of a structure, and somewhere down in the basement we have a heating unit. Typically down in the basement we have a heating unit down here, whether it's gas or any other fuel, or electric for that matter. We have a heating unit typically down in the basement if we have a basement, and we need to get that warm and in the summertime cool air up through the structure and into the second floor. Another thing that we'll always want to at least consider, making sure that if we need to have a vent or a flue, a chimney that would go up through the second floor, we need to consider that also. So there's at least a possibility that we need a chase that goes through the first floor, through the second floor, and eventually through the roof. So that's something that I want to talk about today. In the floor plan that I'm looking at here, what we have is a structure. It has a family room, it has a breakfast area, kitchen, kind of a back entry with a laundry and a bathroom, a dining room, an entry, front entry, and a living room. And if we zoom in on this area right here, we'll notice a small chase. And if I go to the second floor, I'm just going to zoom back out just a little bit. If notice again this chase right in this area right here. If I slowly move to the second floor, we have a chase right here. If we carefully lay out the floor plan, we can actually make sure that those line up. I will tell you that there are times when we take a look at some kind of a small preliminary plan, that provision, that plan has not been thought of at all. In this case, we do have a duct, or I should say a chase that does go through the two floors, so that's good. We have a starting point. But there are times when it's not there and we have to basically create one. So I'm going to take a look at, we'll take a look at this plan in its preliminary stages of layout and see how we get those duct chases to line up. Here are the two floor plans that we've taken a look at one at a time. And again, I know that it's very small, but this is where the chase is lined up on the first floor, right in the corner of this bathroom. And down on the second floor plan, there is a chase lined up right in this location. I'm going to show you now the first floor plan as I've laid it out on my computer, and I've drawn it at a slightly larger scale, or I plotted it at a larger scale. This now is the first floor, and I'll just kind of reorientate you to this plan. We have that back entry where the laundry room is. Over in this area we have the kitchen, the dining, informal dining area, the family room, and we have the living room and the dining room here, and the entryway. What I'll do is I'll zoom in a little bit and take a look at what I've done with that small chase. Now, keeping in mind in the original plan, all they had is a small chase in the corner. But what we'll need is a little bit more space, and I'll show you exactly why in a minute. But what we will need is a chase that goes all the way through the first floor, starting in the basement, through the first floor, through the second floor, and through the attic and the roof. That will be the flue, and the chimney where gases will escape. I will tell you that that is very typically not needed because we can vent out the side of the structure. But for this project, I am going to have you do this. We also have a warm air duct, and this is it could be a different shape, but what I have is 2 square feet. I have 1 foot in this direction clear by 2 feet, 1 foot by 2 foot, and in this, and then that's for the warm air, and this right here is the ductwork for the cold air. I'm going to widen this angle again and take a look at this is not a system designed for this house, but it does give you a chance to take a look at this a little bit better. We have a furnace down in the basement, and it heats up the air, and it brings it to different portions of the house. This is a main trunk line, and then we have vents that will go to different rooms, whether they are vented down back into the basement area or vented up into the, let's say, the living room. So this is the main trunk line, and here are the legs that will go to the separate rooms. Now this system is for a single story. In our case, we'll need to have a duct that goes up through this floor and eventually to the second floor also. The cold air return is this right here. So it comes into the bottom, typically comes into the bottom of the furnace, and it sucks air from all of the different areas of the. It doesn't have to be every room, but we do want to kind of hit each one of the areas so that the cold air is brought into the furnace, the warm air is pumped to the rooms, and there's a constant circulation. If we just have a cold air return without a warm air duct, or vice versa, if we only have a warm air and not a cold air return, it's not as efficient. So that's what our goal is to get a good circulation throughout the entire house. So again, here is that very preliminary layout of the floor plan that I have. This is the first floor plan. And again, we have the flue that eventually will go up through the first floor and the second floor. The warm air duct that will go through the first floor, and depending on how we plan it, it could go through the second floor and then vent the warm air down from the ceilings of the second floor and warm up the rooms that way. In another plan, it could go up to the floor system between the first floor and the second floor and be brought through the joist spaces. The cold air return we will only bring through the first floor and use the joist spaces and also the spaces through the studs in order to bring that cold air back to the furnace. Now the second floor reflects some of those things that I talked about. I'll zoom in here a little bit. And so here is the flue, and that's just an 8-inch round. It'd be an 8-inch round insulated flue, and that will go again up through the attic and through the roof, and this warm air duct that will go up through the second floor. This is a cross-section of a structure. It's not necessarily our structure, so there's no specifics. This has brick on it. It has open web trusses and that type of thing. So don't mistake this for our structure. But it is a two-story structure. We have the ground line out here. And so this is the basement. We have the first floor, the second floor, the attic, and then up through the roof. So here's our furnace down in this area here. I'll tighten down a little bit on that. So we have our furnace, and this green area indicates the flue, and it goes up through the roof and eventually lets the gases escape out. Okay, so if we follow this back down through the floor systems and back down to the furnace, then we have our warm air. And this is not colored, but hopefully we can still follow this. So here is where the warm air comes out of the furnace, and it would come through ductwork. And by the way, this ductwork, if it's running parallel with the joists, we can hide that inside those joists. And it can be heating this room in the first floor, or it could be heating the basement finished area. Same on this side. And then we also have this ductwork running through that chase, and at this point we'd have two choices. If it's possible, we could branch this out and go through the floor system and heat the rooms upstairs through a duct, or through a vent in the floor. But what we will do is we'll bring it through the second floor also, bring those duct chases in the attic space and bring them down. What this does is brings the heat into the room through the ceiling. Now, in colder areas especially, but also in warm areas, we'll need to insulate these so that the warm air or the cold air for the cooling seasons would not lose its temperature. And then the blue areas indicate the cold air returns. So for instance, right here, this is a good area to stop. The cold air return is something that we would want in the center, towards the center of the house. The air is brought into the chase through the vent, and then brought down to the furnace, warmed up, and then brought back and heated and brought into the room as heated air. The cold air returns also would go up to the second floor. What we can do with cold air returns is to allow joist spaces and also spaces between studs to act as the chase for that cold air, and that will basically leave up to the mechanical systems people to make those decisions. The major thing that I want to point out here is that we as drafters and as designers, we are not in charge of sizing a mechanical system. We are not the ones that will be doing the work. We'll not be finding out how big duct work will need to be. But we do need to be aware of what these people need and how much space these people need to work. If we just design buildings without regard to what the other mechanical systems, both heating, venting, air conditioning, and also plumbing, electrical, if we design buildings without regard to them, we are setting ourselves up for arguments and for other situations that can be avoided. So although we're not going to be experts in the mechanical systems, we do definitely want to have knowledge about what they do, what they need, and so that we can communicate to them our needs, and they can communicate to us theirs.